Hi everyone, welcome back. We are almost halfway through the year now, and I thought this would be the perfect time to sit down and share with you a real honest update on how my low buy year for 2025 is going so far. As a minimalist, I'm kind of always on a kind of low buy year in general because being a minimalist already involves not buying so many things. But each year I also share a list of things that I specifically want to not buy in that year or not spend any money on, just things that I want to be mindful of and challenge myself not to buy. So my low buy goals for the year. So in this video, I want to share with you the highs, the lows, the things that I've managed to stick to so far, and also some things that I said I wouldn't buy and I totally did. This is going to be a very honest and candid conversation about what I've learned so far, some unexpected challenges I faced, and also the way that this low buy is changing the way I feel about money, stuff, and happiness. So before I go into detail and tell you exactly what I did and didn't buy and what I managed to stick to and what I didn't manage to stick to, I want to tell you more about some of the lessons I've learned so far and kind of like unexpected changes I've noticed doing this low buy. And before we dive into those lessons though, I also want to quickly thank today's sponsor, which is Skillshare, for their support for the channel. Skillshare is the world's largest online learning community with thousands of classes. You can take classes on basically anything from woodworking to art, writing, singing, cooking, crafting, also things like productivity, business, journaling, marketing, design, just so many things. And for me, one of the things that always helps me to buy less stuff that I don't need is shifting away from consumerism and more towards creating and learning. So I've taken classes on Skillshare about plant care, about digital design, about photography. I also learned how to make my own art in Procreate. Maybe you are interested in fantasy and writing, so you can take Lincoln Michelle's class called Science Fiction and Fantasy, Creating Unique and Powerful Worlds. He is a fiction writer and professor, and he can teach you about world building, character writing, and more. And this is one of the things I love most about Skillshare, the fact that you can just learn from industry professionals like this. It is so awesome to me. You can try out Skillshare for free because the first 500 people to click my link in the description box can get a 1-month free trial, so you can try as many classes as you want for a whole month. And if you cancel within your trial, then you won't be charged. Alright, big thanks to Skillshare for their support as always. And now let's get into the first big change that I've noticed since doing this low buy. One of the big things I've noticed is that my wardrobe satisfaction has gone way up this year, ever since I stopped shopping for clothes, and honestly that really surprised me. I would say my wardrobe is pretty minimal and it is definitely far from perfect. I've always kind of struggled with it a little bit in different ways, but I don't think that I've ever enjoyed my wardrobe as much as I have so far this year, and it all started when I committed to this low buy year. And when it comes to my wardrobe, I haven't bought a single item this year except for one pair of new shoes. What really surprised me is that many of the items that I kind of felt unsure about before, or kind of like a little bit meh about, suddenly now feel nicer to me. And I think that is because when you're open to the possibility of shopping, your focus shifts outwards. So you're thinking about how your wardrobe could be improved, or what gaps that you need to fill, or which items are missing. So basically, what's wrong with it, like slightly wrong fit, slightly wrong color, slightly wrong style, etc. But once I stopped shopping for my wardrobe this year, that feeling of, not enough just kind of went away. I stopped fixating on what is wrong with it, and now I just wear what I have, and I feel like it's good enough. I feel good in my clothes, they feel fun again, and I feel like a surprising level of contentment. And currently I don't feel the urge to shop at all anymore. So it's not like I'm holding back, it's more like this huge sense of relief. Not that I would shop a lot before, but I would always each year buy a few things and maybe declutter a few things. And now I haven't been inside a store or looked at an online store all year, and it feels very peaceful. So this simplicity is just very calming. I've also noticed that my confidence about my wardrobe has gone up because I feel like I'm dressing for myself now. I trust my instincts more, I know my style better. So ironically, by not buying anything new, I've become more content with what I already own, and this has been one of the most satisfying and also surprising parts of this low buy year for me so far. And the second unexpected thing I've noticed is actually kind of like a challenge, and that is that the less I shop or buy new things, the harder it is for me to make purchasing decisions when there is something that I do really want or need to buy. I just get so stuck in my head sometimes about trying to find the perfect solution that I just put off making the purchase for a really long time, even if it is something that could actually make my life better. An example of this is furniture for our balcony. We've been living here for 2 years already, and I still haven't purchased anything for our huge, spacious, beautiful balcony. We have 2 fold-up chairs that we use, kind of like camping chairs, that we place out there when we want to sit there, which are kind of fine, but they are not the most comfortable or the most practical. And it's kind of like a hassle to use them. So because of that, I don't think that I am enjoying our balcony as much as I would if I did have a few nice, or not even nice, just regular balcony furniture pieces on there. And this is a part of minimalism and intentional shopping, intentional living that I think doesn't really get talked about a lot online, and that is kind of like the downside of it, where we get so stuck in our head about trying to make the perfect purchase that we just kind of don't do it, or we spend way too much mental energy trying to make a decision. So I still have not been able to make a decision about the kind of material I want. Do I want plastic? Do I want metal? Do I want wood? They all come with ups and downsides. Do I want plants or not? Because plants, yes. Bugs, no. Do I want to put a flooring down, yes or no? Like, I haven't been able to make a decision. So sometimes I do feel that when you take minimalism or intentional shopping a little bit too far, you can become kind of paralyzed, where you're so scared of making a wrong purchasing decision that you just end up not doing it. So if you recognize this, what I'm trying to do here is trying to just make a decision on the budget and a timeline for when I definitely want to have made the purchase so that instead of trying to find the perfect solution, I'm just focused more on finding something that is good enough to improve my everyday life. I have had Chapel Roan stuck in my head for 3 days. Alright, now for the nitty-gritty about how I've been doing so far this year with my low buy goals. I'll talk about the wins, so the things that I said I didn't want to buy and I haven't bought, and also about my fails, so the things that I did buy even though I said I wouldn't. First, let's talk about the home stuff category, so items for the home. I said I wasn't going to be buying any restocking containers, decanting, food containers, storage solutions, anything like that, and I haven't. I've just been using the containers and the storage solutions that I already have, and they've been working out great. I did find that I kind of was missing a few like food container thingies on a regular basis, like didn't have anything to store my leftovers in. So what I did here is just save up some jam, pasta jars, things like that that come in a glass jar, clean them, and then use them as food containers, which has been working out great. I also said I didn't want to buy anything for the bedroom, so no bedding, no decor, pillows, sheets, rugs, artwork on the wall, nothing like that. And I haven't. I have been a little bit tempted, not gonna lie, but I've spent zero money here. As much as I love home decor, I just think that we always need to be mindful of what the room is for. Like, what do we want the room to provide? And in my case with the bedroom, I want to have a space in the home that is free from stimuli, that is really calming, where I can just be to relax or to get good sleep. So I don't want anything like too colorful or too much going on. That was why I set this goal, and that is why I was able to stick to it, even though I was a little bit tempted a couple times. But if you get that way too, sometimes with your low buy or no buy goals, just helps to remind yourself of why you set that goal in the first place. I also mentioned no teapots, which I haven't bought, so that is a win. I also said no teacups, and that was a fail, or I don't know. I said like no teacups like this one, which I didn't end up purchasing, but I did buy 2 of these tea mugs basically, which was completely unplanned. 100% impulse purchase. So yeah, this one got the better of me. But when that happens, like, I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. the goal, at least for me, of a low buy challenge is not to expect perfection, but just to have a guideline that you can use throughout the year. So if I mess up a little bit here or there, it doesn't really bother me. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but I am really going to try and refrain from buying any more of this stuff. Mugs, plates, bowls, glassware, like I love that stuff so much, but my cupboard's actually getting a little bit full, especially for a minimalist household of 2 people. So I really don't want to be purchasing anymore. In the clothing category, my low buy goal for the year was a max of 3 items for my wardrobe, and that number includes shoes as well. I just felt like 3 was a bit more realistic of a number to set, as opposed to 0. So far I've purchased 1 pair of sneakers because the sneakers that I've been wearing for the last couple of years most of the time are getting really worn out. And in terms of clothing, I haven't bought a single piece this year, which I'm really loving. So if you recognize this, if you feel kind of like unsure or unsatisfied with your wardrobe and your usual way of dealing with that feeling is going shopping, trying to fix it, perhaps you could also try doing a low buy or a no buy for your wardrobe instead, maybe even declutter a little bit and try to see if that maybe works better because yeah, as I said before, my wardrobe satisfaction has gone way up since I stopped shopping for it. I also said no purses or backpacks or anything like that, which I haven't bought this year. I have a really tiny purse, a relatively normal size purse and a backpack, and yeah, that works well for me, so that's a clear win too. Full transparency, I did purchase 1 hoodie that I don't know if I have to count it or not for this challenge because I bought it more as an activewear thing to work out in, but I could also wear it on a regular day. I just don't really know where this thing fits, and my goal didn't include sleepwear and activewear. So I don't really know if I should count this one or not. Maybe I should, and then my counter goes up to 2 for the year. That's also a lesson here. If you want to do a challenge like this, it helps to have clear thought out rules so you don't like get confused. I also mentioned I want to stop buying those thicker house sock thingies because they just get worn out really quickly and it felt like such a big waste. I'm someone who gets cold feet a lot of the year, so usually I will wear something when I'm at home and I replace these thicker house socks with just regular house slippers that have a harder sole. That's just a little bit more durable. I've been wearing these since that video and they are still in good condition, so I think I'm gonna get a lot more use out of these next fall and winter season as well, so I'm happy with that. For technology, I said no technology at all, and that includes changing out my phone. I had my phone for 4 years when I made that video, and I always try to make it 5 to get my phone to last 5 years before replacing it. However, I did end up purchasing my new phone this year in March. It was just getting really slow and hard to work with. Certain apps kept crashing, and I was also excited about the idea of upgrading my phone's camera because we had a trip coming up. So as much as it hurt to do it, I did decide to purchase this new phone. I went for the Samsung A line instead of the S line, which is a little tip because that already cuts off like a couple $100 right there. And it works really well, so I'm happy with it. Something that I did make sure to do, and what I would always recommend if you do end up replacing your phone, is to look up until when this model will keep receiving security updates. So the one I got here will keep receiving them until at least 2030, which is important to me because then I can try and stretch it another 5 years, and that's my new goal with this phone as well. But other than my phone, I haven't bought any new technology this year, and I don't plan to. For the food category, I had a couple things on my list, and the first was alcohol. Now, I was never a big drinker, but last year in October, I had, I think, my last drink for a really long time, and I eventually included it even in the low buy goals that I didn't want to be purchasing any alcohol. This wasn't like a hard and fast rule for me. I never said that I never want to have another drink again, but I really want to have it be something that is just a huge exception and not something that I do like once a week or something. So coincidentally, last weekend a friend of ours came over here to watch soccer with us, and he brought with him this really good bottle of Japanese whiskey. So I had like a tiny glass to join in, which was great, but other than that I still haven't had any drinks since last year October, and yeah, I'm really liking this change. I like that if you're not drinking, even with 1 or 2 drinks, when you wake up the next day, you kind of just, in my case anyway, I feel kind of like a little bit groggy, a little bit more tired, I'm less motivated to eat healthy or to work out and things like that. And I like that feeling of waking up fresh. So other than that one tiny glass, still haven't had any alcohol, and I really like this change. I also mentioned sodas and sugary drinks, which I also haven't bought, with the exception of 2 times I bought a soda when we were on our trip last month in like a restaurant, but other than that, nothing of that category. I also mentioned a couple more things, like 1 year only things that you can only use once a year or for 1 year. So like seasonal decor items or things like that, maybe costumes, special outfit for a festival or for a concert or for a trip, things like that. I haven't bought anything like that this year. And I also mentioned items that look really cute in the store, but have no clear purpose. I mentioned that specifically because I'm a sucker for cute things. So I mentioned that, and I don't think I bought anything in this category, except maybe Vivi, who is obviously very cute and has no clear purpose to it at all. But this was a gift from my boyfriend, so I'm not counting this one. I also bought 2 things for myself this year that were more pricier items, but these were very well thought out decisions that I'm very happy with. The first is a book, or actually a manga set from Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan, as many of you may know, and Nausicaa is one of my favorite Studio Ghibli movies, but I've never read the manga. So earlier this year I treated myself to this set. It has the complete manga, and also it came with a little poster that I'm thinking of maybe framing and hanging up in my office. I already read the entire manga during my break and I loved it. It made the whole movie even more special to me, so I'm very happy that I bought it. It also just looks beautiful on the shelving. It makes me happy every time I see it. So even though this was a little bit pricier for a book, I paid around 70 euros for it. I'm very happy with this purchasing decision. And the other expensive thing that I bought for myself this year was a Dutch oven. And I had never owned a Dutch oven before, which maybe is weird because I'm Dutch. But I was curious. I asked my patrons about their experiences with a Dutch oven, cooking with it. And eventually I decided to get one. And I use it all the time for things like soups and stews and curries and things like that. But I also use it to bake my own homemade bread, which has been so much fun and so delicious. So I use this Dutch oven a lot, and I went for a one that has like really good high quality. It was definitely a little bit pricey, like by far the priciest thing I've ever bought for like a pan. But I hope that this will last me decades. In the beauty category, I had a goal that I didn't want to be stocking up on anything related to like beauty items, personal care, hygiene, skincare, makeup, hair care items, all that stuff. And instead I want to use up everything that I have first before purchasing something new. And that has been working out great. I've mentioned it on the channel before. It's a huge money saver. I also mentioned nail polishes in that video. I specifically talked about not non-toxic nail polishes, but after making that video and reevaluating the amount of nail polishes that I already have, I just made it a no buy for nail polishes in general. And I think actually that I have enough to keep doing this next year too. In that video, I also talked about not wanting to purchase any more expensive hair care items, because before that I was buying these kind of pricey salon hair care brands based on what my hairdresser recommended for my hair type. And after using them for quite a long time, I just evaluated that the effect, like I wasn't noticing any noticeable difference to justify the cost of these items. So for styling products, I found a drugstore brand that really does the trick, a lot cheaper than the styling products that I was using before on my hair. So with that, I'm very happy. But for the shampoo and conditioner part, I'm I'm really over the silicone-free hair care products, and I don't want to invoke a whole discussion in the comment section about, silicones are bad, silicones are good. You do you, like, you know what works best for your hair. But I have tried silicone-free shampoo for about 2 years now, and my hair feels so dry. So dry. I have so much breakage. It's just not happy at all, and I really want to try a good drugstore brand with silicones for a while to see if I can, I don't know, like, you can't see much today, but to see if I can bring some life into this. Something I do want to add here is that in my search for a more affordable drugstore brand for my hair, I always find it very important that the brands I use for my beauty routine are vegan and cruelty-free. So that's like a non-negotiable for me, and many of the products that you can still buy at the regular store do still test on animals. So for me, it's always a quick Google search, like to read reviews about that product, but I also always look up if a brand is still testing on animals, yes or no, and yeah, that's important to me. It's 2025, I don't think that we need to be testing our beauty products on innocent animals anymore. So yeah, that's important to me. Another thing I talked about in that video was a few things that I wasn't going to be doing, like spending my time on instead of money on in that video. And one of them was social media, which I only use YouTube and a little bit of Reddit, but other than that, I'm still not on social media, which I really like. It keeps my life simple. It's a huge time saver. So I'm still happy with that. I got some comments on that video saying like, why are you saying that? Because you're an online content creator, like that makes absolutely no sense. But I mean, like, as a regular person, I'm not on social media, but also as a content creator, I don't have an account on Instagram, TikTok, what else is out there? Twitter. I'm not on them, and I'm very happy with that. The other thing I mentioned was generative AI, and this is what I said in that video. I'm not going to stop AI by not using it, I know that. But generative AI freaks me out to no end. And I still feel exactly the same way about it, but I have changed my mind about certain things about it. So I was talking with another YouTube creator the other day, and this made me see that I was kind of putting myself at a disadvantage by so clearly like not wanting to use AI for my work at all. And I learned that there are ways that you can use it that can just save you a lot of time without compromising my beliefs about what I do and don't want to use it for. Mainly like the creative part of my job, I don't want to use AI for that. So as a creator, I think it's important to always be honest and authentic and talk about when you've changed your mind about certain things. And yeah, this was one of them. One example is that I always add closed captions, like English closed captions, to my videos manually, because I know that many of you use them and the auto-generated closed captions are just not great. So I always add them myself, and it takes me about an hour to an hour and a half for every video that I put out, depending on the length of the video. And with AI, I can get that done in about like 10 minutes. Just feed it the auto-generated captions, ask it to put the correct capitals and punctualization and things like that. I give it a quick read to see if it missed any words or things like that, and I upload it. It's done in 10 minutes instead of an hour to an hour and a half, and that is for every video that I make. And I also started using AI for optimizing my video in the YouTube algorithm. So things like relevant keywords, tags, things like that, that give YouTube just more information about your video so that it can push it out in the algorithm a bit more. This was stuff that I was never really good at as a creator. I used to spend hours trying to figure it out, and I still felt like I just didn't really, like, this wasn't something that I was naturally good at. But now that I'm getting a little bit of help there, I'm noticing, and hopefully this will continue to happen, that my videos get seen by a bit more people because it's just optimized for the YouTube algorithm and the SEO a little bit better. And the last thing that I sometimes use it for is with my writing. I think you notice when you see some of my videos that I tend to sometimes get a little bit wordy and I want to try and convey my message in a concise way, but that is still like pleasant to watch. So sometimes when I'm writing my script and it's just taking me a lot of words to get my point across, I would spend hours trying to shorten that in by myself, and now with AI I can get that done a lot faster. So I still don't like copy paste what AI says. Obviously, I write the whole thing myself, but it just gives me ideas about how I can say the same things a little bit more quickly and to the point. So for me personally, I know that people are really divided by AI, and honestly, like, it still creeps me out, and I still would prefer if this wasn't a thing. But at the same time, I've maybe found a little bit more nuance in trying to find a balance between holding on to my principles and what I find important, but also not putting myself at such a disadvantage by so clearly not wanting to do things that just save me so much time if I can get them done by AI. So there's a little bit of a balance there. For me, I draw the line at creative stuff. I want my videos to be completely from me and not from, you know, AI. So yeah, that's where I'm at with my low buy year so far. Mostly wins, really exciting changes that I'm noticing in my relationship with stuff, and a few like exceptions or fails, if you want to call them that. But honestly, I think I'm, in a really good place with it so far. I always prefer doing low buy challenges as opposed to no buy challenges, because I think that they are a little bit more realistic for me to keep up. And I think that no buy challenges can set someone up for failure and then, you know, beating themselves up because they didn't like reach their no buy goals. So I personally prefer low buy goals for that. But I think for me, this is also easier to do because I've been living a minimalist lifestyle for so long. So I don't feel like I need hard and fast rules to break patterns or, you know, get out of a shopping addiction or things like that. So that's why it's a little bit more like loosey-goosey for me. But if you feel like having really strict rules is beneficial for you, then that is absolutely fine too, whatever works for you. One thing that this challenge has really reminded me of again is just how much peace and calmness and confidence can come from deciding not to shop, just kind of opting out. And I think there's freedom in that. And it reminded me that less isn't just about less stuff, but also about less mental load, less decision fatigue, and less doubting yourself or thinking that there's something wrong with you that you need to buy something to fix or hide or cover up. So whether you're also doing a no buy or low buy challenge this year, or you just want to be a bit more intentional about what you're purchasing and spending your money on, I hope this video gave you some encouragement. You don't have to do it perfectly, you just have to do it consciously. And if you've been on a similar journey, I would love to know from you, how is it going so far this year? I would love to read that in the comments if you want to share, so I will see you down below there. That rhymes. Also, don't forget to check out Skillshare and get your 1 month free trial, link in the description box. And a huge thank you to Skillshare for supporting the channel for such a long time already. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye bye. This morning I went on a really long walk and I saw so many baby ducks, baby geese, baby birds. It was so cute. All kind of different like stages of baby birds. Yeah, it was nice. I had a really nice time.